Hello, ladies and gentlemen. How's everybody out there doing tonight? And welcome everybody to this very special episode number 124 of the Beyond the Ring with Big T wrestling podcast here today for you. Um, Tonight is Thursday night, July 12th, 2018, and I'm here with you tonight with a very special guest on the show, and actually, it's an interview that I'm very excited about. So let me cut the entrance music here for the podcast. Let me cut the music. Let's dial the music down. All right. So we're here with a very special guest tonight, and we have a professional wrestler. Actually, I got to see him wrestle a couple times in a local company named called AIW here in Cleveland, Ohio. And I got him here with us tonight. We're going to interview him. He's going to tell some great stories. Mr. PB Smooth, how's it going, PB?
Pretty good, pretty good. How you doing?
Doing great. Actually, very glad to have you on the show here. It's great to have you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
So, as I spoke with previously, I I saw you wrestle at a couple AIW shows in Cleveland. I actually interviewed the one referee, Dave the Potato Dawson from AIW. I interviewed him on here before too.
Potato.
Yeah, good old
Funny
Potato.
guy.
Yeah, he was a part of the show a couple of years ago now, and he was actually the first one from AIW that I had on, and then I continued going to shows, and then like I said, I saw you perform there a couple of times, but let's rewind back a little bit, and want to ask you, the professional wrestling world is such a fascinating thing, and I'm just curious, like I'm sure a lot of other people are. How did you fall in love with professional wrestling? When did you discover it, and when were you like, man, I want to do this. I want to be a professional wrestler, and this is what I want to do with the rest of my life.
Well, I'd say my love for it started when I was really young. My dad worked, I want to say, like 4 jobs. So when he would get home at night, the only thing that would be on most of the time was like a Monday Night Raw or something like that. And when my grandma would babysit me, she'd always have it on. So I grew up watching it. Um, I started out just playing like basketball. Like I thought that was like my passion per se. And as my college career was winding down, I was looking at options to play overseas and whatnot. Long story short, I just felt that basketball wasn't really where my heart was anymore. And at the time, I didn't know anything about indie wrestling. I only knew WWE existed. So through some friends, they brought me to like an indie show, and I kind of like fell in love with it. And I first inquired about being a ref, and they immediately told me no because I was too big. So I just did a tryout, and things went from there. So here we are.
Yeah, and then you just you got going into it, and when you started, what was your training like? Because I hear so many different stories from so many different people over the years about training. Some people when they start, they say it's the hardest thing they've gone through. Some people say, that they enjoyed themselves. I've heard countless other things, and also who trained you? Besides, what was the training like? Who trained you, and how did everything come about here?
All right. Well, the first training school I did was Pro Wrestling Rampage. I'm originally from the Long Island, New York area, but I currently live in Erie, PA. That's where I finished college at, and that's where PWR was. So I trained there with Aaron Draven for, I want to say, about a year or so like that. The challenging thing with that was we only had training when we had shows. So they ran a show once a month, and the Saturday of the show, we'd set up the ring and train a couple hours before the show. And coming from a college athletic background, I'm used to being able to train like 6 days a week and put in more time and effort to what I'm doing. So it was fun. I always looked forward to training because I wanted to get better. it wasn't happening quick enough for me just because, like I said, we only got in the ring like once a month. So I ended up looking for closer, well, wrestling schools like in like within a 2 hour radius. I was willing to drive, and it just so happened Johnny Gargano was running the AIW training school. So once I graduated from the PWR one, I quickly enrolled there and started making the trip out there twice a week. So things start getting a lot easier for me to get used to doing certain things in the ring.
And when you first found out that you were going to be training with Johnny Gargano, were you familiar with Johnny Gargano before you started training with him?
Honestly, I was not, because again at this point, I was still fairly new to indie wrestling, so I was still only seeing like Raw and SmackDown, and I hadn't had like the WWE Network at the time. So like I saw Johnny was part of WWE. Like I guess he was part time at that point. So I did some research on him, and then I immediately like fell in love with his matches, and you could tell that he like everything was so psychological what he was doing, and it just felt like it made sense because at some point I want to make it to the big league, so why not have someone that's already there show you what helped them, you know? And not necessarily saying that's what's going to get me there, but having that type of training experience is a great opportunity, I feel.
Oh, exactly. And, I could imagine, just from seeing Johnny's work ethic in the ring, for all the years that I've watched him wrestle and to see him take it to the level where he's taking it now, for you, someone just getting into indie wrestling, training for the first time and, getting into this, well, what was it like for somebody that didn't know, you know, anything really about wrestling yet, outside of the WWE and Raw and SmackDown, to have this guy like Johnny Gargano training you, this is some good information for people right here as far as to, what was he like? Because right now, Johnny is considered, one of the greatest wrestlers in NXT, and when he gets to the main roster on Raw or SmackDown, I'm sure he's going to excel there as well. But to have a man like him train you, what was it like for a young person like yourself to learn from somebody like Johnny, and how was he like on that?
It was great. I just tried to be a sponge and absorb all the knowledge he gave me. He's super helpful and he's laid back. He's not one of those guys that are super aggressive and yelling at you and stuff. Like he sees what you want to work on and tries to help you with that. He teaches you a lot of the drills that they do at the NXT like development league and stuff. So it was overall a great experience, and I felt I learned a lot. And he's just a really good human. There's nothing bad I can say about him.
Does he still come back to AIW periodically since going on to NXT?
Every now and then, the schedule's super busy, so it's totally understandable. But hopefully, when he moves up, he'll be back in Cleveland. If he wants to live there, and then we start training us again. It'd be pretty awesome.
I hope so. He's an awesome, awesome guy, and honestly, PB, you couldn't have learned from a better name in the business, in my opinion.
Yes, sir.
So you're getting your training down. You're learning from one of the best that wrestling has to offer today. When were you first told, um, like, hey, you're ready, you're gonna go on out there and you're gonna wrestle? And what was it like when you finally got called on to do your first match? And if you could tell us a little bit about your first match from, like the points of who you wrestled, what was the match like, and also, what did it feel like to walk down that elusive aisle, as the Nature Boy Ric Flair would say, to walk that aisle for the first time and in front of a crowd, and just to feel that, that spectacle, that grandeur of just walking that aisle and getting in the ring for first time, and feeling that, just that crowd energy for your first match.
Um, well, when I first started getting introduced to the crowd, I started off as a security guard at PWR, and then they moved me into a bodyguard role for the top heels they had at the company at the time, which were J Rock and Matt Roby, who was doing the Phil Kinney gimmick, or yeah, that's what he was doing. So anyway, I was more of their heater, like a Kevin Nash per se.
Okay.
So it was really just super stone face, I guess, just coming out there, just being like an angry big man, you could say. And it was cool, but I was always super nervous just because I felt at the time I was being molded to be more of like the Big Show per se, and that's not really who I am. Like I'm not that kind of size. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm not like that wide. I'm not like a 400-pound thing. Like I'm more of a Booker T or like a Drew McIntyre and stuff like that. So it was very challenging at first to like I'd say connect with the crowd just because like I said I wasn't being that extension of myself. And then my first match was at a very small company that I don't think is running anymore. They were in Pittsburgh, and they were about like I want to say 30 or 40 people there. So, and it was a tag match. So I was pretty comfortable just because I felt that not many people would have saw it if I messed up. If that makes sense.
Yeah, I
And,
understand.
yeah. So I mean, it was still cool. You know, just like I said, to be in that environment and finally being able to say, all right, I'm going after my dream and doing what I love. So it was a great experience overall. Like I can't say I've really had any experience that I haven't enjoyed to some capacity because at the end of the day, like we're getting paid to do what we love, you know. So like you can't like overlook that.
No, exactly. You're exactly right on that. I mean, when you're out there and you're getting paid to do what you love to do, I mean, there's got to be no better feeling than that.
Yeah.
Now, you get through your first match, and you start off in the small company. When you're starting off, and all right, I got my first match, and then I'm sure you got a lot of things going through your mind. Probably like, all right, now I'm gonna start getting bookings and this and that. What was your first goal that you set out to do once you got your first match out of the way? Was one of your goals to get to AIW, or did you have a certain goal in mind that you were working towards once you started?
At the time, I didn't even know what AIW was because this was still like in those beginning stages where I was training at PWR and whatnot. So my whole concern was getting in the ring more, whether it be more shows, more training, like anything. Like I said, I was only getting in the ring like that once a month, and then we had like a random show like here or there. So I just felt that if I really wanted to make a name for myself and attract people and the higher ups, like I needed to get my name out there more. So it was just finding more ring time. That was my whole like goal at the moment.
Yeah, the more ring time you could get, the better.
Yeah.
So, what year was this approximately? Would you say when you started?
My first match was March of 2016.
Oh, okay. So you've been in it a couple of years now. Actually, you just hit. You're gonna be going into your third year.
Yes, sir.
How's it been so far? Getting your feet wet and getting into the pro wrestling business. What are some things that you moved on to do up to this point?
I've worked in a lot of different states. I've wrestled in Canada. I've attended a lot of different seminars. I had a WWE tryout June 2017. So things went pretty quickly in the beginning, and now I'm just trying to stay consistent with finding good shows to work and keeping up with training and just learning as I can, and just traveling on the road, meeting new veterans and networking. So my main goal right now is to just get better every day. I feel like if I were to focus too much on like the overall long term goal, then I would lose sight of everything that's happening right now. So just trying to take it day by day and stay focused and stay in my lane, not worry about anybody else.
You know what? That's the best thing you can do, man. You gotta stay focused to keep your eyes on that prize. That's for sure.
Yes, sir.
So, one thing I did want to ask you is, if I remember correctly, because it's been a while, the last AIW show I was at was actually a show back in 2016, which was Johnny's last indie show, and
Mm.
I believe you were working that show, and oh god, if I remember correctly, you were in a tag team in AIW called Team Fuck It.
No, that was T Money and Nasty Russ. I actually was working the concession stand.
I remember you from there, man. Really, you were at the concession stand at that event?
Yeah, that was around the time where I had first been training with them. I'd say that was towards the end, before Johnny was leaving, and I had my match was October 15th. I remember because it was on my birthday, and the first match I had was at a bar show. So I wasn't on that card, but I think I was on the card after that.
Man, so I probably ran into you then at the concession stand or something that night because I do remember you. And
Yeah,
I thought you were working, but I guess I got the match with Team Fuck It, a little bit mixed up because, well, like I said, it's been 2 years since I've been there.
yeah.
I want to go down there and catch a new show though, with you on the card. I want to see what you're up to. And as far as that bar show that you were at, was that Tequila Jacks? Because I know AIW would always work Tequila Jacks, and I was there a few times too.
Yeah, that was the first show they used to break me into the crowd.
You know what? It could have been the Tequila Jack show that I saw you at then, because I know I saw you. I know I saw you because you're very familiar, and I'll tell you the reason why I like to do interviews like this. We talked earlier, and I told you about my past guests that I interviewed, but I love to go back and I love to interview indie wrestlers. I love to get into the indie scene, and I love to, especially interview guys from AIW, because that's the local promotion, near Cleveland where I'm from, and I love to get
Yeah,
exposure going through there. Because I'll
yeah,
tell you,
definitely. That gets you to another show.
oh, definitely. You know what? I wanted to try to go to Absolution, but the tickets flew out of there for that one.
Yeah, it's pretty quick.
Are you on the card for Absolution this year?
I am. I'm not completely sure what my match is, but I am. I've been on the past two Absolutions.
What's it like? Because Absolution, at least for AIW, is considered to be their WrestleMania, and
Yeah, it's insane.
I mean, being in the middle of the crowd, how they fill up Our Lady of Mount Carmel. Just, I remember when I was there. Was the Absolution? What's this year? Absolution 13? Is it?
I believe so.
Okay. Then I was
I'm not
at.
good with Roman numerals.
I understand. I got that same confusion at times. Uh, I was either at Absolution 10 or 11 then, and that's when they had it was EC3 and Maxine against Johnny Gargano and his wife, Candice LeRae. That was one of the headline matches. That was the last Absolution I was at, and let me tell you, the crowd and just how they fill up that part of Our Lady of Mount Carmel is just amazing. You got people. They had to turn people away. I remember.
Yeah, Absolution gets real crazy.
Oh, it's something else. You know what? That was. I gotta say that's my favorite indie show to attend, and I definitely want to go back to one.
Yeah, you definitely should.
I know one of the lead guys over there. At least the two guys that were running the operation back when I was going. John Thorne, and Chandler Biggins. Now, I know, because of course, I follow AIW, and I follow them on social media, and I see what's going on, and I heard that Chandler Biggins passed away a year ago. And
Yeah, he did.
I was like, oh, that was a heartbreaker right there. I mean, that one really got me, because I would talk to Biggins on the regular, and I just wanted to touch on this because, with you wrestling shows there from time to time and everything, what was that like to the promotion when Biggins passed away? And do they have any memorial tributes for him going on AIW now?
Yeah, it was really hard for all of us. He was always at training. He always showed that he cared about us. He always kept us laughing. I was fortunate enough to be able to see him right before I got on my flight to Florida, and he wasn't in too good of a shape. But yeah, like I don't know. There's not much I can really say. Like it's a very tough situation for all of us, from the family to the fans. And this past show we had during the J-Lit weekend, we had the Chandler Biggins Memorial Tag Team Tournament. So we have a tag team tournament basically in his honor right now. Yeah,
Hey,
it's yeah.
I know it's got to be hard to lose someone that was a huge part of the business, really a huge part of the business, and
Yeah, absolutely.
I remember the last time I saw him was when there was a NXT show at the oh my god, was it I think it was the Agora, an NXT house show. And I remember, he was on the balcony, sitting up on one of the balconies over there, and people in the crowd, like before the show started, there were some people that spotted him, and people were actually chanting, for Chandler Biggins.
Yeah, I did hear something about that.
Yeah, he really did touch a lot of people. A great mind for the business and a great guy, and I'm sure he's definitely missed. And it's good that you guys got that Memorial Tag Team Tournament going on in his honor. I'm very happy to hear that. I'm glad you guys are keeping something, in his honor over there. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Have uh, have you won any championships yet since you've been wrestling, or are you still working towards that goal?
I am currently one half of the AIW Tag Team Champions with Hornswoggle.
Nice, nice. Uh,
Yeah.
how's Hornswoggle like? What's it like tag teaming with little Hornswoggle there?
He's a very interesting guy. But the positive to it for sure is that he has a lot of knowledge. He was only supposed to be in WWE for a few months, but he ended up lasting like 10 years.
Yep.
So for someone to be able to do that, they have to be creative and know how to get the crowd behind them and all this, all that kind of stuff. So I definitely try to pick his brain every now and then, try to pick up something new that I haven't thought of yet.
How's as far as the tag partners so far? You guys getting along good? You're no miscommunications and that. You guys are right on top of your game.
Yeah, we have pretty good chemistry. People try to take us lightly, and then they end up regretting it. So definitely works out.
Hey, that's good. What's it like? Obviously, since you became a tag champ, and I know obviously singles championships and more championships in the future. Obviously, your goal, but right now your main focus is the tag championships. What's it like from when you're just wrestling, regular singles matches or regular tag matches, to when it takes on this whole new life of becoming a champion? What's it like being a champion in pro wrestling and carrying the title, knowing that, like right now in AIW, you are one half of the tag champs, which means you're the best tag team there.
Um, AIW is an extremely big and well-known company, so being a champion there definitely means a lot, and I just want to represent myself and the company, you know, in a good light. So every time I have a match, I try to put 110%. Not that I wouldn't anyway, but this just gives me even more initiative to really get after it and show people why we are the tag champs. So
Yeah, you know what? Keep it up, man. Keep it up, and definitely pulling for you.
thank you.
Maybe work your way up to that AIW World Heavyweight Championship, huh?
Yeah, we'll see what the future has in store.
Hey, you know what? I think it's going to be bright things for you.
Thank you, thank you.
Hey, no problem. And I gotta ask you, this is a part where I like to have a little fun with my guest, and I have a little fun with a few questions here, and
All right.
I want to talk a little bit about dream match scenarios for you, and I guess this one's a two-part question. As of sorts, if you could choose anybody, um, alive or already passed on that you would like to wrestle, who would it be? And then the second part to the question would be, if you could choose anybody, that's an active wrestler for any promotion in the world right now, who would you want to face and why?
Um, if we're talking about a deceased one, probably Test,
Okay.
because I really enjoyed his work, and I think and I learned a lot from watching him, and his style's pretty close to some of the things I do, so I think that the chemistry would be there. I think it'd be pretty dope.
Hey,
um,
he,
yeah,
he was a great wrestler too. He really was.
yeah, for sure.
What ab-
And
what about the anyone on the active on the active rosters in the world right now?
honestly, probably Pete Dunne. I really enjoy watching him.
Oh, Pete Dunne, I'll tell
And
you,
that whole Brit, yeah,
he's
I'm
physical,
really
man.
fascinated by like that British style of wrestling. Like I don't really wrestle that style, but I love watching it, and I'd like to learn more about it. So I think it'd be pretty cool to be in a ring with him.
Oh, Pete Dunne, I think that would make for a good match.
Yeah.
And and more things that I want to ask you. As far as right now, obviously, your main focus is where you're at. Being at W, the other promotions that you're performing in, but there's always a main thing. And what I want to ask you is, everybody gets in the pro wrestling business, obviously to do what they love and to, like we talked about earlier, get paid for doing what you love, have a great time doing it. But if you, yeah, with you being in this right now, what is your end game out of this? Like, what is your ultimate goal? Even though it might be a long way off, what is your ultimate goal that you want to accomplish in this business?
Uh, I'd probably say work full time for WWE because obviously that's like the NBA of what we do.
Oh,
So
absolutely.
yeah, that would be the ultimate goal. Yeah.
Start off in NXT, maybe end up getting in there and having a match with Johnny down the line.
Hey, I get in wherever I fit in, whatever works.
Hey, I'm pulling for you all the way. I see we got some fans in here that are showing support for you as well. Got a few people chatting. Like a fan here named Lisa says lots of luck with AIW. So a lot of people are pulling for you here, PB.
Oh, thank you. It's appreciated.
You got lots of love here. Everybody's looking forward to seeing, what's gonna come out of your career. And honestly, I gotta say, I think nothing but bright things here.
Yeah, well, hopefully it's not just wrestling. And what I mean by that is, like, I love wrestling, and that's what I want to, that's my passion in terms of what I really want to do. But I also want to find different ways to be of service in the world. Like, we're in a day and age where everyone's, like, bashing and trolling each other on Twitter and things like that. And just, like, I feel like I want to be able to put out positive vibes, through entertainment or whatever outlets I can. I recently started a YouTube channel, and I have a series on there called Monday Vibes, where basically everyone that follows me on, like, my Snapchat or Instagram stories, they know, like, I'm always up at 4 in the morning. I'm super energetic and always come off very happy and stuff. And a lot of people ask me, like, how I do that. So basically, the show is me just giving different tools I use to keep me, like, upbeat and motivated. So those come on my YouTube channel every Monday, like 8:15 in the morning.
Oh wow, that sounds great. Maybe what is the name of your YouTube channel? Because you know what, I could look it up and even put a link in the description.
Yeah, it's called 2 Smooth TV. The number 2 Smooth and TV.
Oh, okay, because I'll put that in the description of this video, and if other viewers here and listeners want to go check it out and see what you got going on YouTube, hey.
Yeah, for sure. Even if one person likes it, I'm happy.
I love that attitude, and I'll tell you why. Because, and all my fans listening can vouch for this, and when I started this, when I started this years ago, it always takes time, to get your feet wet, to get, consistent views or consistent subscribers and listeners. And
Yeah.
I used to get asked the question, well, why are you doing this, when you got maybe 5, 10 people, whatever, listening to you, or back when I only had like 8 subscribers and now I have 427.
Yeah.
And I said, pretty much what you just said right there. You know what? Even if I had 1 subscriber, I'm still gonna go on and I'm gonna do my podcast and I'm gonna do my videos, because you know what? There's one person out there that at least wants to hear what I have to say, and that, appreciates what I have to say. So if I got at least one person out there, I'm gonna be on here doing what I'm doing.
Yeah, like, most people build their dynasties from the ground up, and a lot of people don't realize that. They don't want to put in the time and effort to make it happen. And if it doesn't happen right away, they just assume it's not going to. So I'm trying to be one of those people that document the process so people can see that if you really take your time, be patient, and keep consistently putting in the effort, things will work out in your favor.
Hey, that's why there's the saying, patience is a virtue,
Yeah.
Hey, well, if you have, we just talked about your YouTube. If you have anything, like any other social media platforms, and, even any wrestling shows, any professional wrestling shows that you got coming up, anything that you would like promoted, or even if you have a website, anything you got that you'd like promoted, feel free, PB. Tell everybody what you got and promote it. The floor is yours. I'm giving it to you here.
All right. Well, you can find me on Twitter at _ Mr. Fresh to Death. The number 2 when I say fresh to death. My Instagram is PB _ Smooth. And as for shows coming up, July 22nd, I'll be in Ridgefield Park, New Jersey for Innovative Pro. July 27th, I'll be in Cleveland, Ohio for Absolution. And July 29th, I'll be in Erie, PA for Revenge Pro Wrestling. It's a new company, but we have a pretty good card coming up. It's only about an hour and 45 from Cleveland, so if there's no Sunday night football, so if you want to see some good wrestling on Sunday, come out and check it out.
Hey, I'd always prefer to go out and see a good wrestling show. That sounds like something right up my alley there.
Yeah, for sure.
And hey, if because I know you're going to be continuing on this journey of professional wrestling, which is awesome. If you ever want to come back on the show, because see, another thing what I like to do on the podcast, especially when I see too, we got a few fans here that are showing some support for you and they're wishing you a lot of luck. So I already know what that means. People are interested. They like what you got to say. They like your story. And what I want to ask you is, hey, if you ever want to, anytime somewhere down the line, if you ever want to come back on, you're more than welcome. And give us an update on how you're doing, or if you have any shows that you want to promote. Anything is welcome.
Oh yeah, definitely. We'll stay in contact.
Yeah. Now, what I usually try to do, like right now, we're in the middle of summer. Usually, what I do is when I have someone on the show, anywhere between like 5 6 months later, hit them up, see how they're doing, see if they want to come back on, and because I figured, every in 6 month intervals, especially someone like you that's working towards your goals and getting bigger and better every day. Within 6 months, you should have a pretty good deal to tell us.
Yeah, I safely will.
Well, PB, it's a pleasure, and I just want to tell you here, another fan, good talk, and another fan of mine is saying great interviews. So people are loving you, PB. You got a lot of support here.
Well, I hope I can make him proud.
Yeah, just keep us updated on anything you got coming up, and what I'm gonna do right now. You wanna hold on the line real quick, and then I'll sign off here, and then once I get off the air, I'll tell you about how to find the podcast and stuff. We'll go through that real
Oh
quick.
yeah, that's cool.
All right, so what I'll do is I'll sign off here. Hold on the line. Do you got any last things you want to say before I sign us out?
Thank you guys for the support. Please follow me on Twitter, Instagram. Um, go check out Monday Vibes on YouTube. The YouTube channel is Too Smooth TV, and hopefully I'll see you guys at a show in the future.
All right, there you have it. Mr. PB Smooth, everybody. Definitely one of the young rising stars to look out for in the world of professional wrestling. And PB, again, pleasure to have you on the show, man. Awesome
Thank
time.
you.
Hey, you're welcome. And everybody, I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed Mr. PB Smooth on the air with us tonight here. And again, guys, this has been episode number 124 of the Beyond the Ring with Big T Wrestling Podcast for tonight, Thursday, July 12th, 2018. And you take care, guys. Go check out PB Smooth on all of his social media outlets and everything, and check out his YouTube channel, Too Smooth TV, and his show, Monday Vibes, as he just told you. And take care, guys. I'll see you next time. Yes, there will be a next time. Don't forget us, and we won't forget you. And as always, guys, I am your host, Big T, and I will see you at the matches. And when you want the best in all your professional wrestling needs, always remember to think beyond the ring. Take care, guys. You have a great night, and I will talk to you all very, very soon. Have a great night, everybody. And thank you to PB again. Good night, everybody.